And are you refreshed? Good. Now what? Almost all the way to the back. Stand if you think it's you, not further back. Yes. Whack.
Thank you. I so adore you and appreciate you. And I came to see you in Los Angeles in January, and at that seminar you suggested if we meditated 30 days in a row, you'd really see an amazing difference. And so I went home to Houston and I committed to doing that. And I did it, and it was an amazing experience, just like you said. Very calming. And actually, after 20 days of doing it, I'm in the client business and the investment business. And after 20 days of doing it, a client found me that was a perfect client. And I thought, God, it's really true. I can just sit in my office and wait for somebody to cold call me.
It is called law of attraction, not law of cold calling.
Thank you. So what I want to talk about is I want to talk about meditation. And I'm still doing it. And I read recently there's a part of your brain that lights up actually when you meditate. And so I would like to know if there's a part of our brain that's connected to source, the importance of breath, because you talk about breath, about releasing resistance. And I'd just like to know a little bit more about how it works so incredibly well.
The importance of breath is that it gives you something to think about that is, for the most part, wobble-free, because most of you believe that you can breathe. We are wanting to be a little funny, and we are wanting to be really serious about that. It's a subject that requires attention, or that you can give your attention to, that doesn't have resistance in it. And that is really the secret to the wobble-free situation. When you meditate, you quiet your mind, and when you quiet your mind, you stop thought. And when you stop thought, you stop resistance. That's the whole point of meditation. It slows you down to a place of no resistance. And then you can reintroduce into your conscious awareness things that are resistance-free. That's the best combination, or that's the best use of meditation. So the breathing is just for focus. When you focus in that way, all kinds of things happen in your physical body that you really don't want us or anyone to try to teach you the physiology of your physical body. You are a veritable chemical factory. It's sort of like you don't really want to understand electricity, and it's a good thing because no one does. But you have figured out how to harness it, and you do know where the switches on the walls are. And so that's the approach that we're taking with this meditation, or with this wobble-free experience. When you focus in a way that you are gauging your emotions, because you see, well, we'll just tell you. You might as well know, because you're asking specifically about this. The reason that you feel emotions are because of the chemicals that are released in your body. But the reason that the chemicals that are released in your body is because of the vibration that's going on within you. And so, in the same way that no one, no matter how physically engaged they are with your physical apparatus, understands it. For heaven's sakes, they're still trying to learn about you after you're dead through your autopsy. That should tell you something about barking up the wrong tree. And so the chemicals are released, and so, of course, your brain is lighting up in different ways, but we wouldn't spend any time trying to figure that out. If you will care about how you feel, which is something that you can gauge, and you'll get better and better at gauging, then you'll know everything that you need to know, and we would say in time would want to know about what is going on chemically in your physical apparatus in response to the vibration that you are deliberately controlling or directing.
So right after you meditate, what is the very best use to to do
to
next?
acknowledge sort of the same thing that went, not sort of, exactly the same thing that we've been encouraging you to do when you first wake up. Acknowledge that this is the closest to not wobbling that you're likely to be today. And so begin shoring yourself up with topics that are wobble-free until some momentum gets going. Because the most delightful state of life, you see, the big contention that so many humans have had with us about what we've been teaching over the years is that you don't want to meditate and have no thought. You want to be engaged with ideas. And we've said to you, we would far rather that you were in a state of appreciation or exhilaration than meditation, because in either case there's no resistance. But in appreciation or exhilaration, there's a lot of momentum going, where in meditation and a quieting of the mind, there's not much momentum going. But it's like, we've been telling you the story of, you're in San Francisco. Esther was amazed the first time she saw those hills, that people were even driving up and down them. But imagine that you've got your car perched at the top of one of those hills, and you decide that you're going to just nudge it from behind. It's out of gear. The parking brake is not on. You just want to see what will happen. And then right away you realize that you're pretty sure that you know what will happen. And so while the momentum is still very, very slow, you change your mind and you get out in front of it and you let the car bump up against you and you stop it. But you wouldn't want to be at the bottom of the hill stopping that momentum. So this is the same thing that we're talking about. As you catch the momentum of a wobble early, you're more likely to stop it. But if you wait until it's really wobbling, then you are not so likely. So after you have meditated and you're in that place of detachment, you can feel the ease of your being. In fact, we'll continue this and then we'll make this next statement, because both are very important, especially for you to hear. So the next thing to do after meditation is to acknowledge that you're in a place of pure positive energy, that you have, through meditation, you've done a good job of creating a vibrational atmosphere that is resistance-free, which makes it likely, in fact, certain, that things from your vortex are now easily flowing into your resistance-free state of being, which means ideas are going to start coming, impulses are going to start coming, and of course the feelings of stronger and stronger good feeling emotion is going to start coming. So what we're really saying is meditate and then follow the lead of the inspiration that then flows to you. Some of you are experiencing, happens to Esther now every time she meditates, because she gets into that resistance-free place very easily, and we write a book through her as soon as she quiets her mind, because she's open, she's practiced, she's ready, and so the ideas start flowing. It's happening to a lot of you, isn't it? That you get into that place of meditation where quieting your mind is what you're trying to do, and your mind won't stay quiet. But it doesn't matter if your mind becomes active, if it's active upon things that feel good. In other words, a wonderful meditation is one where you reach that place, and then you acknowledge that you're in a place of receiving. It's sort of like step 4 meditation. And now, just let the ideas begin flowing. Happened to Esther. She was meditating, she and Jerry, back in 1985 for about 9 months, because that's all they knew to do. Someone had told them, sit in a quiet room, wear comfortable clothing, focus on your breathing. When your mind wanders, in it will. Focus back on your breathing. That's all Esther had. So she was focusing on her breathing, and every time her mind wandered, she'd breathe more. Till we realized she wasn't going to let us occur to her, because her only instructions were when your mind wanders, and she couldn't tell whose mind was wandering in her mind. But it was us. And so that's happening to some of you. You begin to receive these impulses of thought. Just go ahead and let the thought flow. And this is the piece that makes this all work so well for you. You know how you like to eat for the pleasure of eating? For the fuel of it too, but that's pleasure also. You're eating for the pleasure of eating, or you're walking for the pleasure of walking, or you're having a massage for the pleasure of that, or. Well, we want you to think for the pleasure of thinking. Think for the pleasure of thinking, not for the problem-solving quality, not for the advantage that you might gain, not to fill a void. Think for the pleasure of thinking. And so that's the way we would follow through with meditation. When you've reached that place where you actually feel physical detachment and you're in that sort of place, Esther calls it almost euphoria. It's that feeling of well-being, sort of mindless and well-being, and then the thoughts start flowing. Following the trail of those thoughts is so delicious. Just follow them out, you see. And then don't meditate for more than 20 minutes. That's plenty of time. You've trained yourself to be responsive to what's going on, and asking your mind to not be responsive is really asking your mind to do something that it is not meant to do. Your mind is meant to focus, and it's not meant to focus on nothing. It's meant to focus on something. So focus it upon something that is resistance-free, and then allow it to follow the focus into more and more and more and more and more, until ideas will begin to occur to you. Surely you've heard of famous people who were very good at receiving inspiration, who set aside a little bit of time where they would quiet their mind and then the thoughts would begin to flow. All of you have access to this because every one of you has a direct route to infinite intelligence. And every one of you has infinite intelligence flowing to you and through you about things that matter to you. These simple processes will just cue you up into your readiness for the receiving or the realization of that, you see. Really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Something more?
I adore you.
Do you meditate? Esther would say to Jerry, I don't have time. And he would think, never said it, you don't have time not to. I don't have time to get in the wobble-free zone. I've got too much wobble to tend to.